Somebody to your somebody I. 1 pound Main Street as I coming your way. Ow! Hello everybody, Donald here. And welcome to 1 pound Main Street. Hope you enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Right Down Main Street. I'm your host, Bryce Waters, and thank you all for joining me today. This is a Disney World podcast dedicated to bringing a little Disney magic to your daily routine. I have to say that every episode because I think it's a nice little catchphrase. Not catchphrase, but phrase. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. If you're on YouTube watching me, you will see that I'm wearing something special, very special. If you're not watching on YouTube, you're listening on your way to work, so on and so forth. I will describe what I'm talking about. Ever since day one of starting this podcast, I have wanted to release some kind of merch. I want people to be able to represent the show that they love so much. I want to represent my show. And, I finally came out with some merch. So I would appreciate it if you go and check it out. I have a Linktree link on my Instagram in my bio. If you don't know what Linktree is, it's a one-stop shop for all the links you need to get to certain places for the show. It has my YouTube link on it, podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify link, and my website link, as well as the link to get to the merch store. I use teespring.com. It is also on my website, so if you just go to the merch tab on my website, there's going to be a button that says click me, or I think it says like merch. You just click the button and it will take you directly to the Teespring website, to my store. Now, on the store, we have a number of different items. We have men's and women's t-shirts, kids shirts, hoodies, crew necks, and then I believe, long sleeve t-shirt. And then the last thing that I needed to add, because it's Disney and you need it for every trip, a fanny pack. So you can get your Right Down Main Street fanny pack on my merch store. Ask Allie. She's the professional. She's in the fanny pack brigade, as you heard on episode 6. Fanny pack brigade, endorsed by Allie. She says, get one. Represent the show and the parks. You can't do the parks without a fanny pack. But yeah, feel free to check out the merch website. It'd be much appreciated if you want to support the show. Grab some. It will be shipped directly from the store to your house. And yeah, that would be much appreciated. Anyway, moving on. Today, we're going to be talking about, or we will be going into my first, other than top 5, which I guess that is my first recurring segment. So my second official reoccurring segment. I'm excited to get into this. For some reason, lately, I've been trying to think of new ideas and what should I do the next show on. I'm going crazy. And then I went back to my first episode on YouTube, my introduction episode, talking about all the things that I want to do in the show. And I have notes of it too. I don't know why I just forgot, the ideas left my head. Anyway, also, if you are wondering why, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any other streaming service other than YouTube, if you're wondering why the episodes start at episode 6, it's because I was using Disney Music and I couldn't put that stuff on streaming services. YouTube, it wasn't that big a deal. So if you want to listen to episode 5 and you've only heard 6 up until now, feel free to go to my Right Down Main Street channel on YouTube. All my episodes are there. And feel free to check 1 through 5 out. I think they're pretty good. So I think episode 2, we do a top 10 attractions, Allie and I. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah, anyway, 5 whole episodes right there on YouTube. If you haven't heard them, go ahead, check those out. Now, I went back to episode 1, listening to all of those ideas that I had when starting the show, and I'm like, why haven't I done these yet? Why have I just forgotten them? Why have they left my brain? I don't know. What was I thinking? So here we go. My second official segment is my underrated attractions that I want to talk about and shine a little light on. Give the underdogs the spotlight. So without further ado, let's get into this new segment this new reoccurring segment. Underrated attractions. There's a good, I don't want to say a good bit in Disney World. A lot, Disney World has a lot of attractions, obviously, because it's a theme park. But have you ever been walking down a pathway or just one of the main roads or whatever they want to call them, streets, and noticed that ride doesn't have a lot of people in line for it? And you know what? It never does. I can usually just expect to get on there within, 10, 15 minutes, not even. And, it's kind of a shame, but it's cool at the same time because, if it's one of your favorites, you can just ride it over and over again. But it's kind of sad to see just wonderful rides not getting the appreciation that it needs. And for one of these that I'm going to be talking about today, I think there's a reason it has a short line. The other one, I am not quite sure. It is an older attraction, so who knows what could be the problem. That could be just because it's basically a show, which you probably already know where I'm going with that one, but it's basically a show and it's older, so not a lot of people want, it's not a ride that people, go from the entrance on opening, when the gates open, they don't go to this place. But today we're going to be talking about a area in Magic Kingdom and specifically in Tomorrowland. There's two attractions that I want to talk about in this first official, underrated attraction segment. So we're going to be staying in Tomorrowland and Magic Kingdom. The first one I want to talk about is the People Mover. There's never a line for the People Mover. Now, a little history, a little background, I guess. The People Mover started out as the Wedway People Mover. That was the original name that it came out with in 1975. Then it became the Tomorrowland Transit Authority in, I believe, 1994. And from then, in 2009, I believe, I hope I'm getting these dates right, it became the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover. Now, that is a lot of words to say in one title, so obviously people just call it the People Mover because that's what it is. It's a classic Disney World attraction. The idea from the People Mover actually came from Walt's idea of a transit system in his Epcot City before it became a theme park, when he was having the idea of having this suburban area around a city hub. And that would be the transit system that gets the people from the suburbs to the main, the hub, the city. So they took that idea, that general idea, and kind of twisted it to where it just takes you around Tomorrowland and through some attractions and gives a little overview of just the idea of Tomorrowland and what all you can see in Tomorrowland. Honestly, I kind of hate that it's in the entrance is in the back, or I guess the middle hub of Tomorrowland. Now, it kind of makes sense because that's where it starts. That's just the boarding area, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't really have to make sense, but it would be great if it was more in the front. I know there's two entrances to Tomorrowland, from Fantasyland or from the main Magic Kingdom hub, but I guess that is kind of the middle way of having it in the middle of Tomorrowland. But it would be nice to have the entrance to the People Mover from the entrance of Tomorrowland, from the Magic Kingdom hub. I know that was a lot going on right there. Anyway, just stay with me here. So just because it's a great, if you've never been to Disney World and you go into this land of tomorrow and you're curious about what all you can do there, it's such a great introduction to Tomorrowland and what all you can do. I mean, like I said before, it takes you through certain attractions. Basically, every attraction is named in there and tells you a little bit of what you can do. And then you can see, like I said, you go through Space Mountain. You go through, well, I guess you go above Buzz Lightyear, Star Commander. And you kind of get a little idea about what each place in Tomorrowland is. And not to mention, you have the voiceover telling you a little bit about each ride or the gift shop, Mickey's gift shop. and even I believe some of the restaurants or that quick service restaurant in Tomorrowland. I think this is a great introduction if you've never been to Disney World and you're listening here to the show. I suggest if you've never been into Tomorrowland, skip, going to Buzz Lightyear first or Space Mountain first, because you're probably going to go to Space Mountain first. Go to the People Mover first and get a glimpse of what all you can do and how cool of a little ride that is. Now, I understand why it probably doesn't ever have a long line, because first off, it's consistently moving. Even though it does slow down, obviously, for you to get on, it is constantly moving. So that could be one reason. Another reason is it's not a thrill ride. It's just kind of a relaxing tour of Tomorrowland. So it's not a big ride that a lot of people go for. My grandmother used to ride this constantly. She doesn't like roller coasters, while my grandpa and I would go on Space Mountain. She would just get off, get back on, get off, get back on. That's one of the beautiful things about this. There's never a line. If there is, it's maybe like 5 to maybe 15 minutes, depending on if it's like just reopened or something. So it is nice to, if you're just looking for a relaxing, way to get off your feet, a relaxing way to get off your feet for like 15 minutes, 20, if you want to ride it multiple times, 30 minutes, and just kind of get a nice breeze in that hot Florida summer. Whenever you're visiting, it's always hot in Florida. So if you want to get a nice breeze, just kind of get off your feet, catch your breath, that's a perfect ride to do it. And like I said, I just think it's a little underrated. It has so much history to it. It was there not when the parks opened, but soon after. And I think it's been through a lot of changes, and I think it stands the test of time. It's a great little ride, and I mean, I don't understand why it doesn't have a very. I'm not saying I want this to have a long line. I'm just saying I don't understand why the lines aren't usually a little longer. So that's my, get go on the People Mover, and yeah, I just think it's an underrated attraction. It's wonderful. It's nice to catch your breath. It's a good, if you're just looking to kill some time and just kind of relax for a while, it's a perfect attraction for that. So yeah, that's my first underrated attraction that doesn't usually have much of a line to it. Now we're staying in Tomorrowland for my next and last one. I'm only doing 2 this episode. I'm keeping it simple this episode. Now, you probably already guessed this one from the intro, or not the intro, but the intro to the segment. It is the Carousel of Progress. Now, every time I ride this, I never have to wait more than one rotation. And the theater isn't that big. I don't know how many seats it has, but the theater is not that big. So, if it had a decent crowd, it would be able to fill up. Now, I still, to this day, I don't understand why more people don't go to this, show. It's not really a ride, it's a show, even though you are moving, so technically it is a ride. But it's a wonderful little show, and I get it, because, I'll say it from this standpoint. When I was a kid, I did not look forward to this ride. I didn't want to do it because it's just a show. It's boring and all that. I didn't appreciate it for what it was. But now that I'm older, and that could be the reason, now that a lot of people come with their kids don't want to do it. My grandparents always made me do it, which I couldn't thank them more now because I appreciate this show so much. This show is so accurate, and everything is such a, you don't think you go to Disney to learn things. And I talked about this a little bit on my last episode. You don't go to Disney thinking you're going to be learning things, but they do it. They make you learn in such a fun and fascinating way. And through this amazing little story that shows a family growing up in different eras in our history of technology, and maybe what's to come, which is kind of funny. This is why I mentioned it might get a refurb soon, because the future segment, the last segment of the show, is basically what we're living in now. He's telling the oven what to do, which we have Alexa. I just made Alexa go off. which we have our Amazon devices to do. I'm assuming there's certain ovens that can communicate with the Amazon device. I'm going to keep having to say that because I don't want my, Amazon device to go off. Anyway, and then you see the kid and the grandma playing that virtual reality game, which I have virtual reality right back there. So, like, it's new technology, but it's open to every consumer now, and it's pretty easy to get. So I'm assuming eventually they'll try to come up with a new idea. I really hope they don't replace this ride, this attraction. But I hope they do maybe come out with something new of growing up in even a distant future. Keep the other stuff, just maybe change the future era a little bit. But this not to mention, okay, I say we have all these things. Disney predicted all of this. This came to Disney World, I believe the opening year, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a little bit after. It was around that time, but that was in the 1970s. And they predicted that we were going to be, now I obviously there's not a lot of footage from that time, but if they had that segment where there's virtual reality and there's ovens that you can tell what to do and set to what temperature and all that, if they had that in 1970, they did a great job. 1970s, they did a great job of predicting the future. It's a great, like I said, it's a great little story. They took the information of what they gathered from previous eras and accelerations in technology and applied it to their minds and came up with what they could see happening in the future, and they nailed it. I mean, come on. So I think this is a completely underrated attraction. It's so knowledgeable. It's a lovely song that plays throughout the attraction. It's a great big beautiful tomorrow, shining at the end of every day. It's catchy. You'll be singing it for the rest of the day. And yeah, I'm an advocate for Carousel Progress. I love this attraction. I think it's criminally underrated. I don't think it's boring. I think you should go in with it. Here's what I'm going to say. If you're younger, and you do not like Carousel Progress, just here, if you're watching on YouTube, look at me. We're looking at each other, all right? If not, you're listening, all right? If you're younger and you think, oh, it's just a show, it's boring, go in with an open mind. Don't go in thinking, oh, I'm going to be so bored for like 15 minutes. It's some stupid song. Just go in with an open mind. Think about it like this. I'm talking to the younger people, or, if you have a PlayStation 4, that's cool. If you have a PlayStation 4, you can get a VR technology from GameStop right now, or Amazon, or wherever you buy your stuff. They predicted that. I know I'm hanging on to that. I just think it's cool. They predicted that years ago, that people would be able to play video games using a VR headset and your arms and, like you're there in the game. They predicted that. I mean, a lot of people saw it coming, but they went as far as like create what it would look like. And honestly, it's not that far off. It's basically the same thing. So instead of having, the grandma and the kid that's wearing the gloves that detect your motion in your hands, here you still have like buttons that you hold, but it detects your movement and stuff. I feel like I was getting off track, but just go in with an open mind. Think about the progression of technology and where it could go from here. That's kind of the lesson that, through our history, technology has excelled and just went from one place to another really fast. Technology excels really fast. It changes a lot. Every year you have a different kind of phone, some new gadget that uses technology that we've never heard of, and that's every year. Technology is ever changing. It's going to just keep getting bigger and better and all of that. So learning about the history of technology and what they had to go through in different eras to get simple things as just to keep milk cold is just fascinating to me. And I think everyone should at least do this attraction once and learn about the difficulties of keeping milk cold and not letting it spoil over 2 days, yeah, it's such a cool story to learn that people back then had to go through so much just to do what we can do within like 10 minutes right now. So I appreciate this ride so much, this attraction so much. And yeah, I think it is criminally underrated. Like I said, there's never a line for it. A lot of people just consider it kind of a place to go to just get off your feet for a while. Like I said, that's what the People Mover's for. Go on the People Mover. That's what it's there for. They probably knew that's what they were creating it for, but wanted to add so much flair to it as well. This is one where you can go relax, but you can also pay attention and like learn some stuff about the history of technology and the evolution of technology throughout the years. So please don't make this attraction still underrated. Now, I hate saying this because, I want to just be able to get on to the attraction, but I'm afraid that if it doesn't keep up, that they're eventually going to, replace it with something else because, who knows what Disney's got up their sleeve. But it's a classic attraction, and I want to keep it a classic attraction. I want that to stay alive for as long as possible. So I think this is a criminally underrated attraction. I know I've said that many times, and I just keep going off. But yes, underrated. And yeah, this is my first underrated attraction segment. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you agree with me because I feel strongly that these are underrated attractions. It's not going to be a segment that's going to be happening every show and just getting smaller to where I add it in every show. That's not going to be what it is. I'm just going to be doing different parts on different episodes but they're going to be kind of further apart. So yeah, that's it for this segment, and yeah. All right, and I know today was a short episode, but I've got some other, I guess you could say, exciting news. Thank you for hanging out with me until the end. Other than the merch, I have actually thought long and hard about it. I am so tired. I hope you are too. I'm so tired of just recording when available and, just having to look out on my Instagram or my Facebook page for a new episode, or just randomly checking Spotify and Apple Podcasts every now and then. I hate that, if you're a consistent listener, that you have to just keep on the lookout for a new episode and you don't expect one on a certain day, a certain time. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change that. It was never a good system anyway. It was just me starting off and trying to get in the rhythm of things and creating the show. But now I've hit 10 episodes. This is episode 11, obviously, but last episode was 10. Now, like I said in the past episode, it's not a huge benchmark. Episode 10 is not a huge benchmark. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it to where I release a new episode on a schedule like normal podcasters. So we're becoming official, baby. We got merch and we're on schedule. So here's what I'm going to do. Every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Tuesday at 9 a.m. is when I'm going to be releasing podcasts. Now, it's going to be every week. Tuesday at 9 a.m. every week is a new episode of Right Down Main Street. So there you go. You have a schedule. Now you know when to expect a new episode. And like always, I appreciate you guys listening. This is my outro, but I appreciate you guys listening. I love talking to Disney, talking about Disney with you guys. And I hope you guys enjoy listening to me ramble on about a bunch of nonsense. I'm just kidding. It's not nonsense. It's good stuff. It's Disney World, beautiful, beautiful Disney World. And I hope you enjoyed this little segment. Maybe it will get perfected. But this was a good segment that I think we could use another person for. So if you're in the market to, hop on a podcast, I'd be more than happy to do that with you. Now, I would much appreciate it if you guys check out my website. Again, check out the merch. Even if you don't want to buy anything, just take a look at it. You might see something that grabs your eye. If you don't, perfectly fine, but I much appreciate if you just check it out. Every little bit helps. And yeah, I'm thinking of more ways, more things to come in the show, not necessarily segments, but things outside of podcast episodes that we could be doing or even included in podcast episodes. So be on the lookout for that. I'm still thinking up some ideas. I got some notes going on in the back. So hopefully I'll come out with some new ideas soon. But until then, yeah, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, the whole 9 yards. Subscribe on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube, or if you don't, that's fine. If you could subscribe anyway. I'm just kidding. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, if you could, it would be much appreciated if you could leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That's how more people find out about the show. It helps me a lot. And yeah, if you could tell your friends, family, whoever's a Disney fan, let them know about the show. That would also be appreciated. Standard goodbye stuff. And yeah, again, you guys are much appreciated. Love talking to y'all. Hope you guys love hearing from me and, talking with me, because this is a conversation. This is me talking to you, and I hope you're talking back to me. So, yeah, I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you next week at Tuesday at 9 a.m. on our scheduled time. Yeah, we're official now, baby. All right. And I guess I will see you guys in the next episode. Have a good week. Love y'all. See you real soon. Hello, everybody. Just an ending note as I was editing this podcast. I received news, as everybody else has, of the passing of Chadwick Boseman, who played T'Challa in Black Panther, Jackie Robinson in 42, lots of other extremely, extremely influential roles. And he passed away due to colon cancer. He lost his battle with colon cancer. So I just want to say I really respected him. He was so good at what he did. Seemed like a great, great person, great family man, very motivational, just a very sweethearted person. And it's very unfortunate that this happened so soon. And this just shows you that anybody could be going through something that you have no idea about. So just always try your hardest to be nice to everybody, no matter the situation. Just stay positive, and yeah, we'll miss you, Chadwick. We love you. And I send my condolences to his family. And yeah, we'll miss you, Chadwick, very much. Thank you guys, and have a good rest of your week.